Hi everyone, this is Sadie.
This is Aliya.
And I'm Doreen.
Our guest on today's episode of Two Opinionated Students.
What we're discussing today is how introverts in America and society in general are pretty much not accepted. There's no really any consideration towards introverts in general.
Not really. Our inspiration came from the Hello Week that Steinbrenner hosted last week. We are by no means trashing this idea. We think it was actually really good, especially the intentions. It was really good in spirit and pretty good in execution even.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of it seemed to attack the idea almost that quiet people are inherently need help, which is not necessarily true. And that was probably not the message of Hello Week.
Yeah.
That wasn't really.
But it felt campaigned in a sense of like, hey, if you're quiet, there's something wrong with you.
And we know that's not what they were going for, but we thought it just brought up an interesting point about how society treats people that are more introverted in general.
Yeah, and so we brought Doreen with us to discuss this because, Doreen, you are pretty decent at talking to people. Like, would you consider yourself like an ambivert, introvert, extrovert at this point, or?
I consider myself an extrovert. According to the Myers-Briggs personality test, I'm also considered an extrovert by their standards. I kind of view it as I just like talking to people a lot, and as of late, I find it kind of easy to make connections with people and kind of hitting it off and getting to know people from the get-go fairly well.
Mm-hmm. And we define extrovert as someone who gets energy and gets excited over talking to people. Like, you don't feel drained talking to people, whereas it's vice versa. Actually, extroverts feel drained when they're being alone, when they're just by themselves for too long. Introverts are the exact opposite. An introvert is exhausted by social situations, and they recharge by just being by themselves for long periods of time. Ambiverts are like in that little sweet spot of just mix, and it's almost like a spectrum in a sense, I guess, by that point.
Even with my experience, like, because I love hanging out with people, and I do get energy, I guess, from hanging out with people. But even after that, like, even after, a concert or, even going to the movies or something like that, it's definitely nice to kind of go home, be by myself, and, like, okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, I'll talk to you when I get around to it now.
Yeah. As an introvert, between Hello Week and just in general, it's really hard. It feels like I have to be an extrovert. It feels like I'm constantly being forced out of my comfort zone, which is, like, fine. Like, it's a skill set. You have to know how to talk to people. But it's like, I used to cry over public speaking. I used to actually get myself so worked up and I would have panic attacks. And this was when I was at the age of, like, 11. Like, it took bashing in, like, several classes to, like, really get it out of me to, like, just talk. And even then, when I'm up there talking to people, I still get this general shakiness feeling. That's not even just from, like, nerves. Like, it's, like, even if I'm just, like, talking to, like, friends sometimes, or I'm, like, talking to a teacher, I'm just, like, I just want to, like, throw up, or I just, like, there's, like, a center of my chest just feels very, like...
Maybe that's not you being an introvert.
That's
Maybe
also just social anxiety. Yeah. But also, even just being with my close friends, that for hours at a time, or even just, like I hung out with Doreen and Grace on a Friday, hung out with a couple other friends on Saturday, and they thought I was mad the whole time, because my face was so blank. And I have like a really bad resting face.
I think we all do, for the people that can't see us.
They just thought I was like disassociating, or I was just disassociating the whole time in reality, and they thought I was just mad. They were like, "Are you okay? Is there something we're doing?" And I'm like, "No.
I'm just tired." Yeah, I mean, because I hung out with the same group of friends, like, you and I and Grace hung out, and then that next Saturday, I did volunteering at the middle school. And, like, I wasn't affected by it, but that's just also, I'm a very busy person. I go out a lot, I try to do a lot of things, I try to be really involved, like, I don't know, I guess part of my, like, being an extrovert is the fact that, like, I have so many, like, leadership positions, I guess, like, I'm the editor, for the school's newspaper, I'm the arts and entertainment editor, I'm president of 2 clubs, like, 2 fairly large clubs where I have to speak to teachers, I have to talk to administration, I have to, convey information to all of the students. And I'm in AP research, so meaning that I have to do all of these things, weaseling around the school, figuring out what I'm doing, talking to people. So I guess it's just part of that, skill set that you have to acquire talking to people. And I guess that ties into Hello Week a lot, because a lot of people don't necessarily have, I don't want to say skill set, but they don't have that extroversion that makes it easy to talk to people. But I don't know. I think on the topic of Hello Week, I had a conversation with my AP research class, the entire class discussion, and what my opinion on it was they told the extroverts, go find the introverts and have at it. They didn't teach them the right skill set. they didn't tell them, like, you need to do this, you need to be gentle, talk about their interests. They didn't give you any suggestions. They just said, go talk to them. And then it kind of, turned into a joke, because all the extroverts would say hi, and then wouldn't know how to say after that. They wouldn't know, the way that I talk to introverts is I would say, oh, I really like your shirt. Like, where did you get it? We talk about that. It branches on. Like, oh, you're in this club. Well, I'm in this club. Let's talk about that. They didn't really establish that, which I think would have made it a lot more effective.
Probably. I'm sure if there was some sort of component in which people were taught conversational skills, with people who are introverts versus extroverts, like, teach the other group, how to communicate with the other. That would be legitimately helpful, I think, especially in high school when you're so intermixed. That's a good skill set to have in high school, and it's really a good skill set to have in life when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was actually one of the quote-unquote extroverts that had to go talk to other people during, like, specifically one day of Hello Talk Week, where clubs had to run their own booths, walk around, talk to people. So I had to go out of my way to put on a toga, so I looked very ridiculous from the get-go, and then just walk around with a giant bag of candy and was like, who wants philosophy juice, which was our pink lemonade stand back in the courtyard. And it was fun, but it was just like, afterwards, after like the first 2 minutes, I was like, I'm done with this. I literally don't want to do this. Like, I still did it because, like, that was my job. I took the job. So, like, I made sure to do it. But it was just, like, after that whole day and I came home, I was so tired. That was too much. It was so draining.
Yeah. I mean, something like that for me, like, newspaper, when we did the carnation sales 2 years ago, I was the one that had to go around and be like, hi, like, do you want to buy a carnation? If you want one, it's like $1 or $2, come over here and I'll bring you one. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of walk my way around the cafeteria and the courtyard, etc., kind of like showing off carnations and being like, you want one? It's Valentine's Day, come get one. Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't find it draining. I found it kind of weird. I had a lot of weird reactions from people, but that's also just Steinbrenner in general. I feel like I know that's something that Principal Kelly King is trying to implement this year is school culture. Like, she mentioned that specifically, like, to students and to administration, where she was like, I really want to build up school culture and I really want to make it like us connect more and us talk more, and we had a lot of good ideas in an AP research discussion. But
the thing is, for a school full of, like, grody, crusty teenagers, we're all really nice and polite to everyone. Like, there are plenty of people who, like, open the door for each other. There are plenty of people, like, sure, you stay within your own group, but, like, when you have to work and, like, do stuff, you're like, most people are okay with talking to other people. Like, there's not, like, a lot of, like, real ostracization going on there. Like, it doesn't feel very close. Like, we're pretty okay, I think, overall as a campus. Like, sure, there's some problem kids, but it's like, for 2,600 people, you're gonna have problem kids. I don't know.
You're gonna have problem kids at every high school. Literally every high school, whether there's 26 and also 2,600.
Yeah, and you're also gonna be between the ages of, like, 14 and 18. Some of the worst years, not including middle school. Like,
middle school ranks supreme for everyone.
Middle school has terrible children.
Awful.
Yep.
I choose to volunteer with middle schoolers.
I'm proud of you.
Every week.
How do you even do it? Those are real draining people.
Yeah. Not even to mention the fact that they're not just like the traditional middle schooler, like it's their GSA, so it's a bunch of like gay and trans middle schoolers, which are like even more extra and flamboyant. That's draining. Even as an extrovert, that's draining. Like wrangling a bunch of 11
I also used to
13-year-olds.
volunteer. I actually used to volunteer at Martinez as well. And it was just, like, the band kids, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
But, like, the thing is I really like being with them. It's not just, I hate doing everything. Like, I choose to volunteer there.
I hate people.
I hate people. No, like, I wouldn't actively choose to volunteer and help with extracurriculars, that they're doing there just out of obligation. Mm-hmm. Like, I do a lot of stuff for them, and I don't know.
Yeah, like, sure, you're personally involved in GSA stuff as well, like, here in high school, and, like, you yourself are LGBT. Yeah. And it's, like, so you have a personal investment there, and also it truly does boil down to, like, introvert, extrovert. Like, on one hand, you have a personal investment, but on the other hand, it's, like, you also just, one, volunteer hours. Two,
every high school wants volunteer hours.
Yeah.
Bright futures.
Absolutely. And you just don't mind talking to people. You almost, in a sense, get energy from it, because you're like, oh, this is so cool what I'm doing. I'm just talking to people. Yes! Which is, like, Sadie, what would you consider yourself?
I would consider myself an ambivert, actually. because on one hand, I have a lot of the extrovert characteristics like Doreen. I do a lot of volunteer work. I mostly enjoy it. Small children are terrifying, and nothing is going to change that. And that has nothing to do with being an introvert or an extrovert. I'm just really bad with small children.
But I love public speaking.
I love public speaking.
Yeah.
So, again, that kind of stuff totally falls in with what I like to do. I also, however, enjoy reading by myself, having a lot of quiet time, listening to music, writing, a lot of the things that often place me as an introvert when I'm taking a personality test.
Yeah, those personality tests are so biased. It's like, do you like reading or do you want to go to a big party? And it's
I
like...
know. It's like, do you want one moment of peace in your life, or do you want to spend time with your 90 close friends at a party all night long? And yeah, those are like too extreme to tell you anything.
And most of those tests don't even like have the option of ambivert, right?
No, which, through researching for this podcast, I found out is actually what I am. Because I kind of have the extrovert side, and I kind of have the introvert side. I am what they call an ambivert, because I'm both, basically. So if this was a line, on one end you're going to have introverts, and the other you're going to have extroverts, yeah. I'm right in the center. So...
I mean, like, even as, like, a quote-unquote extrovert, like, I have a lot of introverted interests, I guess. Like, I love writing, I love reading.
You're in the newspaper, right?
Yeah, like, I'm in the school's newspaper. I should really hope that I like reading.
You're an editor. I hope you like it.
I hope you like it.
I mean, I have to read a lot anyways.
Yeah.
But, like, the things that they usually key in as, like, this is introverted and this is extroverted are just really... I don't think they really qualify you.
Not
I don't
really.
think that your interests should have anything to do with
that. Just becomes, a stereotypical, like, association, and it's like, oh, you're a bookworm, oh, you're an introvert then, and it's like...
No.
Well, how does that... what do you mean? Do extroverts... Are they, like, illiterate? Like, I don't...
Aliya, haven't you ever met me? I'm illiterate.
You're, like, reading... You're, like, trying to copy edit it, and you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to read.
I mean, I was doing my layouts, and it's just, I forgot how to read.
Yeah, only copy editors like Caitlin can be an introvert.
You know, only Mitchell got the job because, you know, he tested as an introvert, I guess. That's how our whole paper runs. It's a total personality test.
Yeah.
Which, well, that
recording.
entire thing was completely satirical. I do think personality tests, especially when it comes to introvert versus extrovert, do get used probably more than they should by people in schools and other such institutions, like places where you volunteer, all of that kind of stuff. Just because it's the two extremes. So they're like, oh no, you don't ever want to talk to anybody or you can't read. Like, you know,
yeah,
that's
like
how
businesses
it gets
usually are like, especially like retail jobs are like, can you talk to people? Do you know how to talk? Can you use your mouth? And it's like, or it's like, would you consider you like a bookworm, like someone who's like pretty shy or like, you know, an introvert? And someone's like, yeah, they don't get the job. And it's like, yeah, I get to talk to people. However, most people, even when you're an introvert, can talk to people even if they don't want to, because you're getting paid. But and also like as an introvert, I'm a loud, rambunctious introvert, sure, but it's still exhausting to do what I do. And it's like, I was never usually like this. I was actually a stereotypical introvert at one point, where I was very shy, did not talk, everything about like a stereotypical introvert you would see in me. And it's like, I was taught, though, that that's not, you can't do that. You can't do that to survive in what we, like, the society we grew up in. So it's like, okay, now I feel like I have to be extroverted in a sense. I have to go talk to people. I have to be like, yo, what is up? I just have to just do it. And it's like, and it's so draining, though. Like, high school is draining. Every day I come home and I just want to, like, take a nap. It's just so exhausting.
I mean, I take a nap after school. That has nothing to do with being introverted or extroverted. I just don't get enough sleep.
Heck, even doing these podcasts recently, it's like, I enjoy them, but like, on the day we have to record, it's always like right before we have to record, I'm like, oh god, we have to record. Because even this is kind of like mentally taxing in a way almost.
I mean, for me though, a lot of the stress of this specifically comes from the fact that I want to make sure my facts are accurate, and so I'm fact checking myself. Sometimes I literally have a sheet in front of me when I'm recording of like, this is true, this is true, this is true, because the last thing I want is all our credibility to go down the drain because I accidentally say the wrong number or something.
Yeah.
So, is that because I'm an ambivert? No, probably not. But
that's called a perfectionist, Sadie.
Yeah. Other issues, don't worry.
Yeah, it's just hard to like find what constitutes an introvert, extrovert, aside from just being, you're mentally drained. Because you also can be mentally drained from other things, like that's school day. It's like, you're taking 5 APs, that's draining.
That is draining.
No matter how extroverted you are, that's going to be draining.
Yes.
Like, so mental exhaustion as a way for, like, socialization and, like, how your limit is for it being determined by mental exhaustion it's actually kind of also not a good way to determine it. It's
That's
just
what we just faced the whole episode.
Oh, yeah, no,
and
no.
that literally goes in their credibility fact checking.
no. I don't like. I think it's a good way personally. Like,
Okay.
because if you don't do anything all day, but except go out to dinner with a friend and afterwards you're tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
But it's if you're having a full day of existing in society in general, just being a hustle and bustle lifestyle, even if you're out in, like, the country, or, like, even in our, like, our quiet suburban town, it's like, there's still such a hustle and bustle, it's like, can you rest? Are you allowed to rest?
No, I don't think...
Are introverts allowed to rest?
No.
I think it's, but you need to combine, being forced to go out and then self-care. I think that's really important, and that's how, like, my way of self-care is, like, I don't talk to other people, because it's a time for me to reflect. I spend all day talking to people and on the phone and doing work and doing school, whatever. Yeah. Like, you need to, especially as an introvert, establish, like, this is what I need to do after talking to people, or to prepare myself for going out and doing these things, like, whether it's, I'm gonna read a poem, or I'm gonna write something, or I'm going to take a bath, I don't know, however else you self-care, but...
Which then is also why you're saying introverts are not accommodated in any way, because we live in such a hustle-bustle, fast-paced, everything is the fast lane, and so we need to not only accommodate introverts in a sense because of that, accommodate everyone, because everyone's exhausted, everyone gets drained. Socialization should not be a constant thing, especially with social media, and you're constantly, and you're supposed to be online like 24/7 almost, and that's draining. Life is draining, and introverts probably feel it the most because we have a very intense socialization regimen in a sense, and it's just, there needs to be a change. We just need to take it back a little bit. Just calm down.
Everyone just needs to take a breath.
Just take a breather, man. On that note, we're gonna have to stop. This was a pretty long episode compared to the other two, so we're gonna try and not do that next time. But we had a lot of fun though. Like, thank you so much, Doreen, for being on here.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciated it. I'll come on anytime.
We appreciated it too. Thank you for listening to our third episode of Two Opinionated Students. Just a reminder to read the Oracle, keep listening to our episodes, and take a deep breath when you need it. I'm Sadie.
I'm Aliya.
And I'm Doreen.
You'll hear us next time on Two Opinionated Students.